In the quiet suburbs of Clemens, North Carolina, there once stood a house that hid unspeakable horrors. A place where evil didn't just linger, it thrived. Inside that decaying home lived a man named John Alexander Lawson, who would later be known by a name that struck terror into the hearts of all who knew him: Pazuzu Algarad, a name chosen to honor a Sumerian demon of chaos, disease, and death. But for Pazuzu, it wasn't just a name, it was a way of life. What began as an obsession with the occult spiraled into something far darker: murder, cannibalism, and ritualistic depravity. This is the horrifying story of Pazuzu Algarad, the demon-worshipping killer whose reign of terror left a trail of blood and fear. John Alexander Lawson wasn't always the monster he would become. Born in 1978, he grew up in a seemingly ordinary household, but beneath the surface, cracks began to form. By the time he reached adulthood, those cracks had split wide open, revealing a man consumed by darkness. In 2002, John legally changed his name to Pazuzu Ila Algarad, claiming it was to honor the ancient Sumerian demon Pazuzu, a creature of wind, locusts, and plague. This wasn't a simple fascination with mythology or folklore. For Pazuzu, it was an identity. He believed he was possessed by the demon and that he needed to act according to its will. What followed was a descent into madness, a life defined by filth, chaos, and blood. Pazuzu's home became a sanctuary for the broken, the lost, and the outcasts of society. Disenfranchised youth from the neighborhood were drawn to him like moths to a flame. He offered them a place where no rules existed, where drugs flowed freely, and where depravity was encouraged. But what seemed like a refuge was, in reality, a trap. Pazuzu wasn't just their leader. He was their god. The house itself was an embodiment of chaos. It reeked of decay, with garbage piled high and the walls smeared with occult symbols. Animal carcasses littered the floors, and rumors spread that Pazuzu would force his followers to drink blood as part of his rituals. But the horrors didn't stop there. Beneath the surface, something far more sinister was happening. Pazuzu believed that human sacrifice was necessary to appease the demon he claimed to serve. Under his influence, the group began to target their neighbors, unassuming people who lived quiet lives, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Pazuzu and his followers lured victims into the house, where they were tortured, murdered, and cannibalized in twisted rituals meant to honor the demon. Their remains were buried in shallow graves in the backyard, hidden beneath the overgrown weeds and trash. For years, these atrocities went unnoticed. The house became a black hole of misery, swallowing anyone who dared to cross its threshold. The truth began to unravel in 2014 when a tip led authorities to investigate the house. What they found was beyond comprehension. Human remains were recovered from the backyard, confirming the rumors that had haunted the neighborhood for years. Pazuzu Algarad and 2 of his followers were arrested and charged with murder. In custody, Pazuzu's behavior only grew more erratic. He demanded to perform rituals, claiming that failing to do so would anger the demon and bring about his own destruction. His most desperate plea came when he begged jail staff to allow him to sacrifice a small animal during a full moon ritual. "Please," he said, "Pazuzu will punish me if I don't." Unsurprisingly, his requests were denied. On October 28, 2015, Pazuzu was found dead in his cell. The guards had heard strange noises coming from his cell around 3 a.m., a low growling followed by frantic scratching. When they went to check, they discovered him lying in a pool of blood, his body covered in deep scratches, some cutting straight through arteries. There was no sign of another person in the cell, no evidence of how he had inflicted such wounds upon himself. To this day, his death remains a mystery. Some say it was suicide, others believe it was the influence of the demon he worshipped. Whatever the truth, Pazuzu Algarad never made it to trial. He died as he lived, in chaos. The house that once harbored so much death was finally torn down, erased from the landscape like a stain being scrubbed clean. But the memory of Pazuzu's crimes cannot be so easily erased. His story remains a chilling reminder of how far the human mind can descend into darkness when consumed by obsession. The lives he destroyed, the fear he spread, and the evil he embraced leave behind a legacy of horror that will haunt Clemens, North Carolina, forever. What do you believe happened that night in Pazuzu's cell? Was it madness, guilt, or something far more sinister? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that delve into the darkest corners of the human soul. Until next time, stay safe and beware what lurks in the shadows.